And so I guess with being able to run a NFT business so successfully as you have so far, and I'm sure you have your sights way higher. What was your previous experience that kind of prepared you for that?
Yeah. That's a good point. So I've worked in academia, I've worked in government, and I've worked in the private sector, but mostly academia and government. And while I was working in government for, the 5 years prior to launching Danketsu, I used to run a sports media business as well,
Mhm.
just like a small independent kind of thing. So I get the sort of media side of things a bit as well, which obviously you're really, really good at, and I think have amazing ideas in relation to, and I think has a lot of avenues on the blockchain side of things. But we essentially used to have a sort of blog kind of thing where we talk to athletes, and then also a podcast. And I did it on the side, and it generated some revenue, which was nice. But then as I started getting into this space, that just sort of I just started losing interest on that side of things. But I think that was really good in terms of getting used to getting on Twitter Spaces, having those conversations online, talking to people, doing podcasts like this. In the past, working in government academia, I've done a lot of real life community related stuff. So that ties in well here. But of course, the underlying aspect of it is essentially um, creating content is something that I'm good at, but also, story, lore, but business development and marketing and that sort of stuff. And that's kind of what I've done throughout, I wouldn't say a very long career. I'm just like 31. But that's what I've been doing since like high school, university, that kind of thing. So, yeah, I think that all of it kind of shapes you, right? I'm not a tech guy, but I know how to find the right tech guy and quickly pick up what needs to be done. And I think credit also goes to my co-founder, Tommy, because he doesn't like doing the front facing stuff as much as I do, but likes doing the strategic side of things. So, I can do the strategic stuff as well, and I do, but I'm happy to take on this role as well because I enjoy it more. And I think having that balance with, a friend when running a business makes a big, big difference.
Absolutely. I'm learning that, building out a team and, it takes a while to find some of the right people and you gotta kiss a few frogs along the way. But,
Yeah.
having that infrastructure and support definitely helps. And it's so funny listening to your story. It's kind of like there was this it was a viral clip from Steve Jobs giving a commencement speech, and he said, you gotta follow your passions, and you won't get it along the way, but as you look backwards, the dots will connect to where you're going. And it's kind of like that, where as you're going along your adventures, you get all these different experiences, and as you say, it shapes and it molds you. However, it's really preparing. If you're staying in alignment with who you are and following your gut, you're preparing yourself for what's to come, and you don't necessarily know it at the time, but then one day you'll look back and you'll have this amazing, project like Danketsu, and you'll be like, man, those experiences were so vital for preparing me for this.
Yeah. No, 100%. Like, it's only when you kind of self reflect, you realize that, hey, this is, yeah, this helped me with this, or this is what I was doing back then. And I see how that's allowed me to do X, Y, and Z. So I think 100% agree with you there.
Okay, so I know you're a busy man, so I'm not going to hold you for too much longer, but I do have one more question. It's more on
Yeah.
the fun side. So you have, your lore. I'm an anime manga guy. You launched originally as a lore manga anime project, what were some of your favorite animes and mangas that you were and we may have to have another conversation just about anime and manga in the future. But what
Yeah.
were some of your favorite animes and mangas growing up and that most inspired you?
Yeah. That's great. Obviously, great question. So many, uh, yeah, so many different anime around. But I think that obviously, growing up as a kid, Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z were like two that I enjoyed a lot. That was kind of the era where I
Yes.
was, a kid. So that kind of started it off. Naruto, obviously, Bleach, Death Note, one of the favorites. Some of that more niche stuff, Full Metal Alchemist. I mean, it's not niche; it's super popular. Cowboy, Bebop, pretty good as well. So definitely some of those. I like the standard hero's journey thing, but lately, I've been watching Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen. But I think that at the moment, my favorite anime is without a doubt Attack on Titan, and
Wow. Okay.
yeah, multiple reasons for that. One, because it's not the traditional hero's journey; like it flips that idea on its head. For anyone who watches it, they'd know. And it's also like the first full anime that I've watched with my wife, who doesn't really watch anime. So I think that's been awesome as well to go through it, and we're actually like, oh yeah, can't wait for what's going to come as we've been watching it over the years. So yeah, I love Attack on Titan at the moment. I think that so I have a background in politics, like that's what I studied. Political science, all that kind of stuff. So when I look at Attack on Titan, I'm like, just the sort of socio-political and geopolitical kind of story and lore in this is insane, right? And there's so many historical references and things like that, but then it's also the characters. You connect with them on a different level to a lot of other anime, where you're like, oh, I can relate to the struggle succeeds narrative of a hero. But here, I don't want to reveal anything, but if you've seen Death Note, obviously you probably have, Julian, but for anyone watching, you have to decide between L and um, light Lighto, right? And neither of them is pure good or pure evil, because yeah, sure, L is trying to hunt down the bad guy, but for him it's about, interestingly enough, like it has to do with clout, and it has to do with um him wanting to be the one to catch this guy, right? Like his personal satisfaction thing. It's not just that he's evil. For Kira, it's not just about him wanting to kill everybody. Yeah, to an extent, it is like you can see that what power does to him and corrupts him. But he also thinks that he's doing the right thing. And I think that that makes a great um, villain, right? And a villain archetype. Like you look at, why was the first phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe so popular, especially with like Thanos coming closer and closer to the whole Thanos thing? It's because Thanos really believed that he was doing the right thing. Um, you look at some characters in Naruto, the good ones, the ones where the arcs worked really well. Those villains thought they were doing the right thing. And I think that conviction, when you see it in characters, when you see it in story, are the ones that I really really appreciate and really really enjoy. Like if you ask me now, would I watch the Pokemon anime again? No way. Like it's terrible, right? Yeah, I was a kid and it was amazing to see Ash, catch I don't know, Bulbasaur, but then
Catch
to
them all.
leave. Yeah, but then to leave Bulbasaur because he felt sad about him, like not being free with his friends, like just like, like it was an anime made off of a game. So that's always a challenge. But yeah, so Afro Samurai is another one that I obviously liked a lot. I think it's awesome. And then for a non sort of Japanese anime, I think Boondocks is right up there. Love Boondocks. I think it's an awesome anime. Probably like the best one that's come out of the West. Yeah, so that's kind of, and then yeah, you've got the shorter stuff like the Studio Ghibli side of things that is also like visually and all of that breathtaking and quite the experience. But yeah, that's kind of what I'll say are some of my favorites and ones that I've enjoyed. How about you though?
Man, I would say, very much like you, I started on, Pokemon was, 7 years old. Pokemon, Red and Blue came out for the Game Boy, and then you were just like hooked, and you get the cards and you watch the show and all of that. Dragon Ball
Yeah.
Z. I would say Naruto was the one that really originally got me because like I going back to even like the Ada, like me buying the Ada Ninja, like I saw like myself in Naruto, as a kid.
Yeah.
Like we were like the same age, maybe he was a little younger. I was like 13 to 12.
Yeah.
um and the isolation that he went through and how he like dealt with it, where like he just felt completely rejected, and he was like, I'm gonna create this own fantasy world that I'm gonna be like Hokage, or I'm gonna be somebody in my head, and then like believe it to such an extent that like the rest of the world had to almost shape around his own belief. Like I really kind of built a lot of my, I won't say my personality, but it was something that like really stuck true. And then watching that journey was like, man, if Naruto could actually go out and become Okage, then maybe I can go out and do something. So that was something that really connected with me deeply. Obviously the greatest story ever told is One Piece.
Oh, I
So
forgot One Piece. Of course. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Oh my God. Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like Naruto is what you watch as like a young kid or like a young teenager. Then when you become an adult, you're like, okay, One Piece. There's so many great ones though. Like I said, I really think we need to have um, a conversation just on manga anime, because I feel
Yeah.
like you can learn almost anything you need to learn in life by watching anime or reading manga.
For
I would
sure. For sure.
say
Yeah.
some that you didn't mention, um, you know, Gash Bell. There was this manga called not Beelzebub. Beelzebub was cool too, but The Breaker, which was, I think it was Korean. I don't know if it ever got an anime. It was a manga. That's one of my favorite, heroes' journeys as well. I
Yeah.
was really into, sports mangas. So,
Ah, yeah.
the Kurosaki no Baskets. My two favorite are like Diamond no Ace and
Yeah.
Baby Steps. So, and Hajime no Ippo is another good one too for the sports
Oh,
side.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, my favorite is very OG, like super old, but Captain Tsubasa.
Oh my
It's
god, classic. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That, like, when it comes to sport, like that's something that I think I watched for the first time when I was like 2 years old or something.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. But yeah, man, I think we can have a whole conversation about this